What if the heaviest chains you carry aren't forged in steel, but in the blood of the person who gave you life? Imagine the metallic taste of fear on your tongue, the sting of a mother's disappointed gaze like winter wind cutting through ancient Roman armor, and the sudden electric rush of hope when you finally swing back, not with fists, but with the full weight of who you were always meant to become. That raw, universal ache of identity, sacrifice, and breaking free from legacy is exactly what Episode 6 of Chained Soldier Season 2, titled A New Azuma, delivers on February 12, 2026. Streaming exclusively on High Dive, this chapter lands right in the heart of the Azuma family storm that has been building since the squad clashes of earlier episodes. It doesn't just tease answers, it pulls you into the eye of the hurricane, leaving you breathless, heart-pounding, desperate to know, can a daughter ever truly escape her mother's shadow without losing herself? You won't just watch this one, you'll feel it in your bones, and by the end, you'll be aching to hit next episode like a soldier charging into Mato itself, picking up from the intense family tensions and unit rivalries of the previous episodes, where Himari's past with her overbearing sister Yachiho still lingered like an old wound. This episode thrusts us straight into the fire. Yuki Wakura and Himari Azuma find themselves locked in a high-stakes confrontation with Fubuki Azuma, Himari's mother and commander of the 9th Squad. The reward system that powers their slave abilities takes on a dangerously intimate new edge, and what starts as a duel spirals into something far more personal and revealing. No major plot points beyond this episode are spoiled here, but the transition feels like stepping from a simmering family dinner straight into a battlefield of hearts and powers. You sense the shift immediately. The story is no longer just about fighting demons outside, it's about the demons within bloodlines. The tension builds like a coiled spring in history's greatest rebellions, where one decisive stand changes everything. You're not being handed the full tale, you're being handed the hunger to chase it. This episode masterfully concludes the multi-episode Azuma family arc that has threaded through Season 2 like a hidden vein of gold in rough stone. It advances the larger narrative by sharpening the blade of the Anti-Demon Corps' internal dynamics while quietly planting seeds for the looming threats beyond the squads. Pacing is deliberate, tight exposition woven into visceral action, never dragging, always pushing forward with the precision of a well-timed historical siege. There's a satisfying dramatic balance. The personal stakes feel as massive as any Shuki invasion. Fans have puzzled over a few cloudy aspects: why the Azuma matriarch succession carries such crushing weight, how Himari's abilities evolve mid-battle, and what the reward system truly costs beyond the obvious. Drawing from the manga, around the chapters covering the Azuma clan's deeper lore, the anime clarifies this without spoon-feeding. Himari's learning ability, her unique power to absorb and amplify techniques, receives a powerful upgrade here, hinting at future importance in larger conflicts. It's not random, it's earned through raw emotional breakthrough, much like how real-life underdogs in history, think young revolutionaries facing empire builders, unlock hidden strength when they stop seeking approval and start forging their own path. The episode ends on a quiet cliffhanger that ties into the Thunder God's movements, leaving you with that delicious itch of what happens next, the same pull that made classic tales like the Odyssey impossible to put down. Himari Azuma shines brightest here, voiced with heartbreaking nuance by Yum Miyamoto. Her hidden wounds, years of living under a mother's impossible expectations, crack open like ancient pottery under pressure. You see her transform from the reliable vice chief who hides her pain behind duty to a woman who finally chooses herself. Her choices and dialogue feel utterly consistent yet profoundly surprising, echoing the quiet revolutions in literature where a daughter confronts the queen who shaped her. Fubuki Azuma, brought to chilling life by the legendary Yuck Anna, whose timbre carries the calm command of a seasoned empress mixed with something dangerously nurturing, is no cartoon villain. She's a force of nature, ambitious, deviant, and fiercely loving in her own twisted way. Yuki's role as the bridge between them adds layers to his growth too. His loyalty and vulnerability make every reward moment feel earned and intimate, never cheap. Their interactions pulse with psychological depth, turning what could be fan service into a mirror for real human power exchanges. Submission is strength, like the paradoxical bonds and epic friendships throughout history. At its core, the episode wrestles with power, morality, sacrifice, and the razor's edge between hope and despair. What does it mean to inherit strength when it comes chained to control? The slave reward system becomes a metaphor for every relationship where love and dominance blur. Think of historical court intrigues, or even modern family legacies where one generation's survival tactics become the next's prison. Himari's stand forces us to ask, is true freedom worth the pain of breaking the chain, or does it simply forge a new one? These questions don't preach. They burn through every choice on screen, lingering long after the credits like the echo of a battlefield cry. We get richer glimpses into the Azuma clan clan's cultural rules, their matriarchal traditions, and the weight of becoming the new Azuma. It complicates the universe beautifully, showing that the anti-demon core isn't just a military machine but a web of bloodlines, rivalries, and hidden histories. It feels lived in, like stepping into the pages of a forgotten feudal epic where family names carry the power of nations. The script is sharp and poetic when it needs to be, never cliché. Lines land like arrows. Fubuki's instructions during the reward scene carry both depravity and twisted wisdom, while Himari's quiet declarations hit with the force of a long-suppressed truth finally spoken. You'll replay them in your head, feeling their weight like famous last words from history's turning points. Under director Masafumi Tamura and Studio Passion, with Hayabusa film support, the episode's art direction, led by Shino Ohara, paints emotion in every frame. Colors shift from warm, oppressive golds, evoking family hearth and inherited burden, to cold, electric blues during moments of rebellion. Lighting and shadows play like silent storytellers. Fubuki's face half-lit in dominance, Himari stepping fully into the light as she breaks free. Fluidity shines in the intimate reward sequences and the solo mother-daughter clash, where stillness, a held breath, a trembling hand, speaks louder than explosions. It's not the flashiest animation you'll see this season, but it's purposeful. Beauty here means truth, not just spectacle. Credit to the animation team for making every evolved slave transformation feel visceral and earned. Camera angles are intimate and unflinching. Low shots during Himari's defiance make her tower like a hero rising against fate, while tight close-ups on faces capture the tremor of old wounds reopening. Editing rhythm mirrors the emotional beats. Rapid cuts in battle heighten chaos, then deliberate pauses let the philosophical weight sink in, amplifying tension like the slow build in a classic duel from samurai cinema. Kota Yamamoto's OST is a character in its own right. Haunting strings swell during the reward moments, turning vulnerability into something almost sacred, while percussive crescendos crash like thunder in the duel. Silence, those breaths between blows, speaks volumes, heavier than any explosion. Motifs from earlier family scenes return twisted and empowered, burning into memory like a song you can't forget. Yukana as Fubuki Azuma delivers a masterclass. Her voice carries calm authority laced with seductive danger, every line dripping with the weight of legacy. Yu Miyamoto as Himari brings raw, trembling authenticity to the growth moments. You hear the scar tissue tearing and the new strength forming. Yuya Hirose's Yuki adds grounded warmth, making the slave dynamic feel painfully human. Their performances don't just voice characters, they embody souls in collision. This episode left me scarred in the best way, heart racing with the thrill of a daughter finally seeing her mother not as a god, but as a flawed human. Moments of raw intimacy and brutal honesty sparked wonder, while the quiet triumph in Himari's eyes brought tears I didn't expect. It feels like a collision of destinies. Blood against choice, expectation against self. You'll carry the burden of those scars with you, asking the same universal questions we all face. How do we honor where we come from without being trapped by it? The episode doesn't hand you closure. It hands you the burning need to keep watching, because something bigger is stirring on the horizon, and you'll feel it in your chest like the first rumble of an approaching storm. Using the reverse reading technique. Yes, some might call the action sequences a touch limited compared to flashier shows. Pacing in the fights occasionally leans more on emotion than explosive choreography. But that's no flaw. It's a deliberate choice that keeps the spotlight on character and theme, refusing to let spectacle drown out the human heart. The fan service walks a bold line, intense, unapologetic, and tied deeply to power dynamics, but it serves the story rather than distracting from it. Overall, the episode's strengths far outweigh any minor stumbles, turning potential opacity into profound intimacy. Episode 6 of Chain Soldier Season 2 succeeds brilliantly in its goals. It delivers a deeply personal narrative payoff while expanding the world and teasing greater wars ahead. Its major strength is emotional truth wrapped in visceral action. Its only real weakness is that it leaves you starving for more. This isn't just another anime episode. It's a mirror held to your own hidden chains, daring you to break them. So tell me, are you ready to step into the Azuma storm and discover what kind of warrior you could become when blood calls you to fight? The chains are waiting. The choice is yours. But once you press play on High Dive, there's no turning back. You'll be chained to the story until the very end.